The following is presented by the Cheeky Bastards.
Come out to the coast, we'll get together, have a few laughs.
Yippee Ki-Yay Motherfuckers, and welcome to the 14th edition of Dropping a Bruce, the monthly podcast where we watch every single one of Bruce Willis's 40 direct-to-video releases from his acting career to see if he took the role for a paycheck and dropped a deuce, or if in fact he took the role and gave it his all and dropped a Bruce. I am the notorious Scott K.
And I am Mr. Smith.
And together we will be your hapless stewards on this 40-month journey through the lesser-known films of Mr. Bruce Willis's filmography. This month's stop finds us truly contemplating what the fuck we were thinking by deciding to take this journey as we review 2018's Chinese action war drama, I did speak correctly, Airstrike. Mr. Smith, we both watched this unbeknownst to ourselves around the same time frame yesterday.
Yes.
And as soon as the movie started, I thought, we are in for some fucking slogs. What did we get ourselves into?
Well, we've hit a new low. We've hit a new low.
Oh, and a somewhat foreign film, except in America where we aren't allowed to have the Chinese version of it apparently. So we'll get into that in a little bit.
Yeah.
But I was surprised when I saw. So I remember seeing this. Like, when you look back at the movies, Airstrike. And I remember seeing this a couple years ago, just the picture of it, and thinking, it's Bruce Willis, and there's Adrian Brody, and it's a war movie. And I thought, I didn't realize the actors in it were Chinese. I was thinking, this is like some kind of World War II, us against the Japanese, something.
Yeah, when you, a month or maybe a few weeks ago, you reminded me that Airstrike was next. Mm-hmm. And I think I remember seeing the trailer to this, sort of at the time. And I think I got kind of my memory was kind of muddled up in the sense that I thought it was Americans versus the Japanese.
Yep.
This was kind of some Pearl Harbor thing. I kind of felt like.
Yeah.
But this movie, well, I mean, like you say, we're going to get into this, but this is a singular experience. It is. I don't think there is another movie. This isn't necessarily a compliment. But I don't think there is another movie like this movie.
No.
This is a one. And
I didn't think we were going to be treading into foreign film territory when we did the Bruce Willis 40 direct-to-DVD video on demand films.
Well, just so we're on the same path here, did I see a different version of the film to you? Was everyone dubbed in it? Except for the Japanese.
Yes, we saw the same. That is one of my notes. So we will discuss that. Yes, we saw the same version of the film.
I didn't know if I'd got hold of some weird hybrid release where for some other territory where, like for all I know, you could have been seeing a version where it was everyone was subtitled except Bruce Willis.
If only.
Well, even Bruce Willis dubs himself in this, I think. I don't know. We'll get into it. We will. I know I'm jumping the gun. But yeah, this was a jaw dropper.
Yes.
I will leave it at that.
Yes.
I will leave it at that right now.
Well, before we train the Chinese Air Force and ask the first woman who shows us attention to marry us, it's time for our...
What you talking about, Willis?
Just the facts, man. Just the facts.
This film was released in 2018, written by Ping Chen and directed by Xiao Fang, starring Bruce Willis, Lu Yi, Song Sheng Han, William Chan, Fan Wei, Wu Gang, Ma Su, Chi Yong Lee, Bruno Wilson, and Adrian Brody, with a running time of 96 minutes. It was made on a budget of $65 million and grossed $532,000 at the box office. It holds a 3.2 rating on IMDb and a 0 critics and 12 audience score on Rotten Tomatoes. During World War II, 5 different Chinese people fight their way through Japanese Air Force attacks to protect an important military machine in 1940's Chongqing. Lionsgate and China Film Group presents Airstrike.
We have reached a very critical time in this war with the Japanese.
I want you to take this training very seriously. I don't expect any of you new trainees to get up there and take down every zero you see.
Lethal!
Your mission is extremely dangerous.
I'm supposed to safeguard this truck? I didn't expect to see you. What's in there?
Do not open that! They'll call marshal you!
If you're not willing to fight for what you love.
We're going to need 2 army trucks to evacuate the children.
You never deserved it in the first place.
I know that once you reach the combat zone, you have a very short life expectancy.
I will avenge you, my brother.
We must take the kids and leave! Our baby's dead.
How many pilots do we have left?
15 left, sir. There's only one man who could fly the P-40.
We need the world to remember this is Chongqing sky. Light up those burning fires in yourself. Let's welcome a bloody fight to the end.
Forgot my lighter. Let's get this done quick.
Go ahead and shoot my Chongqing heart!
Which bastard is flying that plane?
Mr. Willis plays Air Force Colonel Jack Johnson, who apparently has been tasked with training the bad news bears of country air forces in the Chinese Air Force. Now, the film doesn't tell us why he's been giving this shit job, but we can assume he was caught balls deep in one of his superior officers' wives and or daughters. The film doesn't tell us a lot, but before we fall down the rabbit hole of airstrike, this is one of the last times we'll be discussing some of the stuff Mr. Willis does, so we are getting close. As a matter of fact, next month. This, in theory, is the last direct-to-video release of Mr. Willis's career before he does the 26 in a row. He does 3 more films in 2019 that we'll talk about next month, and then that film we talk about next month is the start of 26 consecutive direct-to-video releases. Again, this is 2018. The only theatrical release he had was Death Wish, and he had 3 other films, this being the last of 2018 that he released. So that would make it Acts of Violence, Reprisal, and Airstrike were the other 3 films released in 2018. And then he has 1 year left of his career, and then it's 26 in a row. But what a doozy to send us on that path with Airstrike. And if my plot didn't come out too well, we'll say it again. It's a grizzled American Air Force colonel has been tasked with sending a squadron of hapless Chinese fighter pilots off to die, not because he's cruel, but because they fucking suck ass as airmen. Meanwhile, some other Chinese people take their sweet-ass time driving a top-secret military device that no one is really sure of what it does to the city of Chongqing, where the Japanese have been butt-fucking them from the air for countless days straight, inconveniently interrupting the city's annual Mahjong tournament. Have I pretty much nailed down the Pulp Fiction version of the 3-story act structure in this film?
Well, once again, by even mentioning Pulp Fiction, you're kind of drawing attention to something that we'll get to.
I know. That we text each other about. I was like, did they just...
I was like,
they poorly
wait a
do something?
minute. Did they just... Yeah. So we've got, what? This is brought to us by like 5 different production companies.
Every Chinese production company that's owned by the state of China, their state-run government.
We saw the Grindstone production logo at the beginning.
It's like Lionsgate, Grindstone, and then the next thing you know, it's like 27 Chinese fucking places. Now, did you know this is the biggest financial flop to date of Bruce's direct-to-video releases, as it lost $64.5 million at the box office.
Oh, yeah,
and I think it's also his highest, the biggest budget. And of course, this was a Chinese film. So, again, maybe they're definitely
money's no object to those guys.
Must not be.
Well, this was funded by fucking Triads, probably. Anyway,
that's funded by Nike, Apple, like all the companies that we said over there. This is one run of Michael Jordan shoes. They just got some Air Jordans.
I'm looking right. Yeah, I mean, as you said, that I was looking right at it. You know, a budget of $65 million because this was supposed to be filmed in 3D, and you can tell
it was filmed in 3D, and they got rid of it. Might have helped a little.
Maybe, but you can. You know, when you watch I mean, I've got a few films like Piranha 3D, My Bloody Valentine 3D,
Sharknado
like,
3D.
Obviously, I don't watch them in 3D, but you can sure as hell tell the scenes that were supposed to be the coming at you moments. And there are a few dozen of those in this movie. They kind of went all out on that.
Yeah, they spared no expense with explosions and destruction.
Hell no.
I will give them credit for that. Like, they spared no expense.
I will say, this has some of the most horrendous CGI. This is PlayStation levels of CGI.
Thank you for saying that. My first note is for a video game, the CGI is pretty damn good. However, this isn't a fucking video game.
No.
That's the only thing that got me through it is I was like, every time there was the air battles, I was like, all right, I'm playing a video game. I'm like, this is pretty good for a video game. Like, if you put your mind in that, you're like,
if you're
what
in an
amazing
arcade,
visual.
If you're in an arcade somewhere, you'd be kind of like,
oh my God, you'd be blown away. Yeah.
But I was absolutely, my jaw was agape at the awful CGI in this, of which there is a lot as well.
Now, Airstrike also becomes the fourth film so far to receive a 0 critics rating on Rotten Tomatoes. Our others have been Acts of Violence, Precious Cargo, which you and I disagree with that rating, and your favorite film of last season, The Prince.
Oh, shit.
Now, one of the reasons this film may be absolutely unattainable to anyone who watched it is the original cut is over 5 hours long. I'm wondering if director, and let me pronounce his name, Zhao Feng, I'm wondering if Zhao Feng may have had a little enjoyment of Mr. Michael Bay's fucking epic of Pearl Harbor. It's like, we're doing the Chinese version of that. We're calling it Airstrike. Or yours is what called Bombing Run? What was it for the UK? Something bombing. The bombing?
I don't know, but yeah, I know it's called, the bombing, fucking literally. I mean,
apropos title.
But also at the title, which is maybe a reference to a great Bruce Willis movie, is Unbreakable Spirit.
Yes,
another
that's
title.
another one. Yes.
Maybe a M. Night Shyamalan type reference.
It's 3 titles at once. It's The Unbreakable Spirit, Airstrike, Bombing.
It's a fucking bomb of mass proportions.
Now, one of the reasons it may have not recouped any money is the film's Chinese release, which was set for August of 2019, was canceled after actress Bing Bing Fan, and that is the name. I am not being racist
Bing, Bing
or
Fan.
just doing some kind of like white guy can't say a Chinese name. Her name, at least what she goes by professionally, is Bing Bing Fan. So don't anyone fucking at me. That's what this lady's name is. Now, she plays a minor character. I guess she's a really big star in China. But during the time, she was charged with tax evasion, which I can't imagine being charged with tax evasion in China is an easy thing to get out of.
Hell no.
So the thing that blew my mind about when I read this was, so you've got tax evasion. You got this film that cost you $65 million. And because she was like evading taxes, they just said, we're not showing the film. That makes no sense to me. I think they were just given like this really nice option to be like, let's get the fuck out of this game before this is too much. Let's take our losses
probably looking
and
for
move on.
excuses to flush this one, potentially, yeah.
But my favorite note that I have absolutely no idea why this is a thing, but Uncle Mel pops out for some reason, unknown to every human being on the planet. Mel Gibson served as the art director on this film. I have no idea why that is a thing, how that is a thing, unless Mel Gibson is washing a little money. So I'm just trying to figure out. Maybe he's getting a little of his money washed. I don't know, but...
Well, no, I would imagine that Mel Gibson is probably, at this point, as we know, he's probably finding trouble getting work. And
True.
They threw some... I mean, some of that $65 million...
But think about that. They're like, hey, we got to pick a guy who might be able to direct a film that's based solely on China's version of the World War II. Who do you have in mind? They're like, Mel Gibson. Like, you know what? That makes sense. He did do Braveheart, so he can clearly...
Art director, I mean...
I know. Don't know.
I don't know. I just don't know.
Hey, good
I don't
for you,
know what
Mel.
to say.
Good for Mel.
Yeah. Like I say, at that point, he would have probably... It probably fucking took any job going.
Yeah.
So, if they offered him a couple of $1 million to be the art director of this fucking shit part of a movie, he probably took it. That's probably something quite simple, really. You know, he just needed some cash.
Clearly. Everyone in this picture needed cash. Now, this film is also based on the true story of Chongqing, China, that was bombed for 6 years and 10 months by the Japanese during World War II. Holy shit. Jesus Christ, that is just...
Yeah, it's insane.
We got upset they bombed Pearl Harbor that we stole from some people out in the ocean, and we go to war, and these guys are getting bombed for 6 years and 10 months. They're trying to bomb them back to the Stone Age.
No wonder the film was originally 5.5 hours long, I guess.
It would make more sense. Because
yeah, I mean...
Adrian Brody does his best as John Cusack again.
What the fuck?
We're going to have a Cusack award next time.
The fuck?
Once I read the notes after watching the movie and saw that it was a 5-hour long film, I thought, okay, Adrian Brody's character probably has a lot more to do in the 5-hour version because he seems to be a doctor at a hospital. And his 2 scenes are thrown in there just so they can say we had Adrian Brody in our movie because they are just thrown in there out of left field. And he dies. And he does his best. Like, Adrian is really trying, but the lines just don't make any sense. All of a sudden there's a bombing. He's like, just make sure the kids are okay. So
there's a bit in it where that really cracked me up. There's a bit in it when he's talking to someone who we never really know who it is. And
that may have been Bing Bing fan.
Maybe.
That may have actually been her. I don't know.
No, he's talking to some guy.
No, yeah, but I'm saying that the end scene of him where he's like, we got to save the children. And then like the bomb falls, like, make sure the children get out and then they get blown up or whatever. I think that might have been Bing Bing.
That's all coming back to me now, as the sailor said, spitting against the wind. This is like, there's just a bit in it where Adrian Brody says to this guy, if you don't fight for what you love, you probably don't deserve it in the first place. And the guy just looks at him and goes, bless you.
Take care of yourself,
and walks
Steve.
away.
He's like, take care of yourself, Steve.
Yeah, bye-bye.
But that makes the trailer. So that's the whole reason that line's in the movie.
But Adrian Brody, I can only assume Adrian Brody had another 25 minutes of scenes that he thought,
I thought he was a part of, I thought he was going to be a part of, show up as like one of Bruce's pilots or trainers. Like, that's what I thought eventually.
That's what I was
waiting for. Going, I then forgot about him, this is the longest 90-minute film I've ever watched.
And it's relentless.
It is relentless, but it feels like it's forever.
I know, it's the contradiction, isn't it? It's
yes. I paused it at 75 minutes in, and my wife goes, how much longer does this thing have? I said, it's got to be over in a few minutes. I paused and go, oh my God, I got 20. I was like, I got fucking 21 more minutes. I thought it was at the climax. I had 21 more minutes to go of the film when I thought, we got to be wrapping this up now. It feels like I've been here long enough for this wrap up.
I mean, when the film starts, there's already a dogfight. Like, literally.
Yes.
As soon as the film... And it just seems like, I mean, we may be going all over the place with this review, but the film is all over the place. It is literally... Like, there's a scene... there's a dogfight where Bruce Willis participates.
Oh, my God. It's spectacular.
And it's just like... And it just cuts from it to then back at headquarters.
Yeah.
As if,
I thought he was going to die in the dogfight.
Of course.
That was my thought.
That would be
and
the
he got
formula.
shot. Or no, he doesn't get shot. He gets shot when he's on the ground. I forgot.
Yeah.
Oh, let's go get into Bruce in a sec.
Yeah, he's in this dogfight, and then it just cuts to him back at headquarters. And
the best thing is that they're trying to make him like General MacArthur because he's got a cigar. He goes, I forgot my lighter. Just throws the cigar.
Let's get this over with. So, so I can go back and have a cigar, So which is quite funny in its own way. But
I put, well, I'm fucked. Prime doesn't offer a Chinese language version with subtitles, so I got to watch this fucking thing as a version of Kung Fu Theater. However, they have the Japanese speak in their native tongue with subtitles. What the fuck? Makes no sense. Speaking of dubbed, did you notice Rumor? Which I do apologize, but I was kind of rude to Rumor Wilson, but she was dubbed. Like they even dubbed her. Like they gave her some kind of British accent, and there's a moment when she's talking to that Chinese doctor as if maybe they had some kind of love interest. And he's like, Stephanie, I thought you got on the boat. And then she says something with a British dub, which I don't remember because as soon as I heard it, I was like, that's dubbed over. It's not even Rumor Willis is speaking. And then they're gone. I knew right then and there. I was like, oh, this is... I said to you, this movie is Chinese water torture. And it is the absolute definition of Chinese water torture.
Again, Bruce Willis, I would imagine, probably said, I'll take this role, but you've got to find a role for my daughter as some kind of part of the deal. But then they cut...
Yeah, she got her one scene. She
got
her one
scene. She is in the
scene.
movie, Bruce. But not the 28 pages of dialogue we originally promised you she would get to read. Man, she's got a head bigger than Jay fucking Leno. She's
her bottom jaw.
Brutal to
As
look
I said
at.
to you, she is a living nutcracker. That bottom jaw, she's just missing the stick in her back.
Oh, man.
Listen,
anyway,
watch the movie and look at it and tell me I'm fucking wrong, all right? I didn't film her that way. I didn't profile her so you could see this giant squared linebacker jaw, all right? It's not my fault.
It was like a Sputnik. Bizarre.
My wife even goes, she is the daughter of Demi Moore and Bruce Willis. And she goes, she got all of their worst features.
She'd have been bald. That would have just sealed
Exactly.
the
It would have just worked better. She'd have looked tougher, actually.
Oh, man. She was brutal. Brutal.
However, Bruce Willis, and this is going to come as a surprise, because I haven't talked to you about this. I actually enjoyed the fuck out of him in this film because the shit he does is just batshit insane. He pulls a Nick Cage in this film. They allow him to be Nicolas Cage in this film. He yells, he gets emotional, he gets shot at, he rides in a Jeep.
Oh, man,
I'm telling you, this is Michael. This whole
going.
film is Michael Bay. Michael Bay referenced, influence for sure. He is riding down the fucking tarmac with a pistol, a la Tom Hanks in fucking Saving Private Ryan, firing a pistol at an oncoming Japanese Zero. In that moment, I was like, this is glorious. And then he's up in the plane with the cigar, throws it out. He gets shot in the fucking vehicle one time. He's just cussing. And then he shows up at the Mahjong tournament at one point, like just to say some line about Mahjong's a lot like warfare. You gotta get your mind right. It's like, he only shows up once and he's gone. Like, oh my God. The editing hack job of this is amazing.
See, we're very much in danger of making people want to see this movie.
Oh no, I think you should see this movie because it's you know it's gonna be that movie like The Room or some of these other movies where like the first time you watch it, you go, this is fucking atrocious. But the more you ruminate on it, you start thinking about how funny it is, you want to just watch it for the enjoyment of how ridiculous it is. And you just get to see these asinine things that, I mean, there's a moment, they don't even hide this. Bruce Willis is standing at the edge of a table and he's talking, I mean, folks, there is zero plot to what's happening. The 5 hours, what they cut this down into, we have no idea. They're getting heavily attacked all the time by the Japanese. We don't really know why. There's never been told to us what the significance of bombing Chongqing is. Because it's not Beijing. It's not like the major cities that we all know of in China. So I have no idea why they're just constantly fucking these people over. This is an actual genuine question, and I don't know. But I am pretty sure from a majority of the Asian people I know, even though us as Westerners may not be able to tell Asians apart, I know that pretty much Asian people usually can tell each other apart. In this movie, they don't know who is on their side and not on their side. Like, they can't tell the difference between who's Chinese and Japanese here. And it was very striking as how many Chinese people know Japanese and vice versa. So I know we're talking in English dubbed and all this other crazy stuff.
I know where you're going.
I even wrote a note and I felt like I was being racist. I was like, do Asians not really tell each other apart? Like, is that a thing too? Because maybe I'm missing out, but I was always under the impression that if you call someone Korean Chinese, very offended. Like, do I look Chinese? You're like, very offended kind of thing. So I was always under the impression that Asian people can tell each other apart. Where, you know, to us, we look like a bunch of idiots saying, oh, you must be. But then this film, it was just like, how do they not know he's Chinese? How do they know he's Japanese? Do they know their own language? Anywho, but that was just kind of like a little throw off. But the main part of this movie is this Mahjong tournament is the central focus of this film. This one guy, Uncle Chewy, has lost his tea house. A la Lando Calrissian to Han Solo losing the Falcon. All right, that's basically what it was. And he's a little upset, and he wants another shot at winning the Mahjong tournament to get his tea house back. All the other stuff that's happening is just an inconvenience to allow him to win.
That was more riveting than the entire massacre.
Because they end the film
Japanese
with this.
Yeah, let's be honest though. How many finales are there in this movie?
5.
5?
Well, even the plane thing.
The bomb through the.
Oh my God!
During
the sex,
thing.
and then the whole Three Stooges getting rid of the bomb.
Yeah, very Chaplin-esque.
Oh my God! My little tongue-in-cheek thing about Mary, the first one we meet. There are 2 gentlemen in this film. Now, again, we are probably missing major scenes since it's a 5-hour film. They each meet pretty attractive Chinese women in the film. I'm not going to deny it. But the amount of time we get to see them spend on screen with them, they fall head over heels and have asked each of them to marry them in the span of a 90-minute movie where they have spent maybe 5 minutes apiece on screen time with them. I just thought it was very striking how quickly it's like, I met you, I hate you, I want to marry you. That was basically the through line each way.
Where there's a scene where there's a bomb under the truck and the woman says to him, cut the green wire. And he looks at her and she says, it's just a hunch. And you're like, now is not the time.
Well, she cuts it. And then there's an explosion on the other side, like a bomb falls from a plane, you know, and whatever. And then somehow he's knocked out or she thinks he's dead. And she's like, I shouldn't have had him cut the green wire. And I'm literally yelling at the screen, bitch, the truck didn't blow up. I don't know why I'm yelling at the screen like she can hear me. I'm like,
you are in
you
the
would
truck.
be dead too, you fucking idiot.
You're pretty much
you're
in the
under
truck.
the truck. Yeah, actually, you would be dead first because you're on top of him. That bomb would have obliterated you as well. It just was like
it's just full of these strange, like you say. I mean, we could put it down to the editing. Editing down.
There's got to be a lost in translation.
Or this could just be a completely inept piece of shit as well.
I think it's
There is
combo.
that.
It's a combination.
You think so? Yeah. Yeah, you're probably right.
I mean, they cut out major points, and it's not even about the fact that it's dubbed, which is awful. Because there are a few of the Chinese actors who are actually speaking English at some points, and then you can tell they're not. And it just was very striking. And there's the one moment. I felt bad for Bruce Willis, but I always apologize. I always harken back to Tarantino, but I thought of Rick Dalton when they were talking about how he hated shooting the spaghetti westerns because everyone shoots their own language first and they kind of go around. And that one moment where he's like yelling at the one soldier and he's standing there and he's yelling at him in English, you can tell he's back in Chinese. So it's just kind of like this. There's no real give and take. They can't really yell at each other because they're doing it in two different languages. You have no idea what the other person's saying, and you could just tell in Bruce's face. He was just like,
"That's like he's imitating." Like Hong Kong style acting, but in American. He's emoting these kind of weird things. They seem quite alien to him.
Yeah, they're probably just like, hey, we need you to be angry. And he's like, got you covered. I'm going to do a Wild Willie. Here we go.
Yeah, and like there are points in the film, at least two I noticed, where he's dubbed himself, I think. Yeah, there's like a really bad, post audio thing where the audio is not the same as the physicality, which, like you say, when you see the Chinese actors doing it, you're like, well, that's fine because they're speaking in Chinese and they got like the most terrible American actors dubbing them over.
It starts off early.
But it's weird with Bruce Willis where he's dubbing himself and he's acting completely different to the sound that's coming out. So it's just a bizarre, what's the word? Vibe. There's like a bizarre vibe whenever Bruce Willis is on screen. His voice is in a different movie. It's the best way I can really put it. I'm sure there's a better way, but I'm just dumbfounded by it all.
Even though the whole point of this podcast is to see if he actually takes roles for money, or if he takes roles and actually does something with them. He actually, you can tell, is having a fucking load of just fun doing. Like he just figures this is never going to see the light of day in America. It's like these actors you see, like if you watch like a Tommy Lee Jones commercial in Japan and he's doing these absolutely insane things because the Japanese advertising is obviously different than what we do in the Western Hemisphere. So when you see it, it's you feel like a fish out of water too. You're like, what are they selling? And I feel like this is what Bruce is doing. He's like, you know what? I'm going to treat this like a Japanese commercial and I'm just going to go for it because none of the things he's doing make sense. Like there is no plan for this Air Force. Like it's literally they just fly up into the sky, get obliterated every other day by the Japanese, and only a few of the main characters make it back. And when the Asians do love their melodrama. But when they do get killed, there's always some look back, I won't make it home for dinner tonight or something. And like the other guy can hear him. Like dude, you're in the fucking air. Like their canopies are always open so they can get because it's shot in a stage, obviously. So they can have the microphones open. But in reality, in a fight, it would be closed or it's more aerodynamic. You know what I mean? They don't fall out. Like the stuff that happens is absolutely insane.
There's also, because there's like a bit where one of them dies and like a photo of his wife falls out of the plane and you follow it down.
Yeah, like a leaf, not like it become, fluttering all over the place.
Just, I mean, that's like they're like 20,000 feet up in the air. It's like, what the fuck is going on? But no, as you succinctly put it, it's like he's starring in a TV commercial in Japan.
Yes.
And it's like he's there to train these Chinese pilots, but you never see any of the training. Again, you could say, there's so many things where you could say there was at least a montage scene where
there might have been at one point, maybe hour 3. I don't know.
Exactly, yeah. So we've got to make some assumptions here, haven't we? That, like I say, we're giving them the benefit of the doubt that the scenes were filmed because another thing, like you say, this battle went on for years.
6 years and 10 months, apparently.
Yeah, but it's like it takes place overnight.
I'm telling you, it just interrupts this Mahjong tournament. This whole movie could have been more about the Mahjong tournament and would have been actually a better film to see how they had to covertly try to do this, like under the threat of airstrike. And like there were real stakes in this game. Like the Mahjong tournament is the most important moment of the film because they end this movie with the Mahjong tournament finale.
Yeah, and it's more nail biting than the battle itself.
Yeah, he wins it very easily. That's fine. And then there's some sex that happens, which they're banging, and then all of a sudden he realizes there's a bomb in the floor. I don't know if it came through. There's no air raid at that moment, but then he suddenly realizes after he's banging this broad that there's a bomb, so he's got to stand there in his red underwear and hold it, and she doesn't ever come out and help. I thought, oh, we're going to get a little nudity. She's going to help him. Then remember, it's China. They're not doing that. She doesn't help him. And then they all get in a chair, and they do some kind of acrobatics, and he ends up pulling it out. And then as he's coming down the stairs, he also slips and falls, and whoopsie-daisy. And Uncle Chewie catches it, and he shuffles down the street going, everyone get away from me. I am the only, I don't have anything to live for. It's like, okay. And then he goes around the corner, and he throws it. And then I know immediately, I'm like, they don't know anything else about how physics works. I'm like, this is going to blow up. And I even did a countdown. He turned to walk. I just did this silently. I wish I had recorded. I went 3, 2, 1. And sure enough, on 0, boom, the explosion happens behind him. He goes down.
And then you've got the peasants in the cave thing that
oh my God.
What?
I put that
Where
down.
did that
I said,
come
this
from?
filmmakers don't know how airflow works. So they have an air raid bunker, which is under a mountain, which may be the worst air raid bunker you can have under a mountain since they're shelling the hell out of you. But I mean, look, that's what they had. That's what they had. It's late 30s, early 40s, China. Fine. They built a wall, but they can't build a proper air raid shelter. Whatever. So they go in, and in this one moment, it gets fucking hammered. And the doors get closed. And of course, there's some weird gate that's locked. They don't know how people die. But to show us, the audience, I mean, they run out of air very quickly. Like, what would you say? 30 seconds after the thing closes?
Exactly.
And the only way for us to know, for them to be able to let us know as the audience, is they show a candle on the wall snuff out because there's no more oxygen for it. And then all of a sudden, these people just start like falling asleep. They say they don't like start gasping for breath. They just like go to sleep. And this one woman standing against the wall holds a baby up high enough to get the last of the air. Then the filmmakers make the mistake of panning right to show us where this cave entrance is, and there is so much daylight points. I'm like, there is plenty of oxygen. Like, none of you are dying. I almost want to go stop fucking about.
This is where I was going.
Sort yourself out, mate. There's plenty of oxygen.
This is where I was going with it, because I was like, wait a minute. This is like a massive crevice.
Yes.
This is massive hole in the side of this cave.
Yes. You have hours of oxygen left.
Actually, so big that I was like, why didn't you all just leave? Because you could walk out. You didn't need to crawl out. No. You could have literally just walked out of this.
Oh, but the best part is how these people die, right? So they've got these people trapped against, which again, they're trapped against this gate that has an opening, and somehow they've lost oxygen there too. So they're all frozen. So one guy's frozen with his arm through the gate, standing straight out.
Yeah.
Apparently he went to rigor mortis like that. Like he just died of rigor mortis. Said it in 12 seconds. He froze over. I love that the one guy, the father, comes walking in looking for the wife and the baby, and he's just pushing people who apparently are dead aside. Grabs her, they take her out. She's not breathing. Apparently the Chinese don't know anything about CPR. And he asks, this was worth it for me because I fully laughed, a full laugh on this moment. He asks the passerby for a canteen of water, needs water. And he gets the water. He tries to put it in her mouth or whatever. And he looks at Uncle Chewie and he says, what do I do? And Uncle Chewie goes, spit it in her face. That's what he says. Drinks the water, spits it in her face, and lo and behold, a Chinese remedy where apparently if you are dying, if you get water spit in your face from a loved one, resurrection powers. This bitch suddenly comes to with no oxygen given to her, just suddenly a cold splash of water to the face. You're alive, and you know what else happens? The baby comes to as well. I was like, this is, it was like heartwarming. I got up, I hugged my wife, I cried, I called my children. It's just emotionally wrecked.
So tonally, this film is just all over the place. This is such a bizarre film.
And I do apologize, but the one guy who was underneath the thing, who's wearing the Indiana Jones jacket the entire time, like it's literally he's playing Indiana Jones.
Yes.
I called him P. King Jones because he can't be Indiana. He's from China. So he's P. King Jones. That's what I called him. That takes forever. And did you notice the Japanese? This truck is huge. I mean, it's fucking huge. It never gets hit by a single bomb or bullet. Meanwhile, the planes keep flying over it every day, never swing back around to hit it, and they mow down everyone walking alongside of it. But this truck goes unscathed. And then so we figure out, we kind of know, in one of my favorite lines, where the one guy who's driving it almost takes him off a cliff or whatever. Because, they're being shot at on this winding path. But the guy that we have a pretty good idea is a Japanese spy. He says, "Officer, sir, I'm a mechanic and a good driver. You have my word. That'll never happen again." I wrote that down. I was like, brilliant. I was like, Shakespeare, go fuck yourself. What do you got on this, sir? What do you got?
Yeah.
But he waits to the last moment till they make it to the village to then blow up the truck. He could have blown it up every 5 steps of the way.
Well, I think it's time for us at this point to broach the subject.
Go right ahead.
Of Pulp Fiction. I think we need to address
the watch in the room.
Yeah.
So Mr. Willis has 2 moments at a table, and both of them are bizarre. Because as I said, there's no military tactic going on. None.
No.
Like, they would have been better off if the army had brought in, like, maybe air cannons to help defend the city, not these guys who can't fly planes for shit. They're the worst. When I said bad news bears, that was being polite. They're the worst. Like, if that's, this is a bad film, because if that's how China is, I'm not afraid of China ever airstriking us. I don't think they've got the air power to do it. However, that being said, there's a moment where Willis is at the end of a table, and he's talking to his team on the right and left of him. And I feel bad. And maybe because, whatever, he doesn't care. But he is reading the fucking card. He is staring down the table, just past camera, reading the card, pretending he's talking to his men who are so far to the right and left of him. I'm like, Bruce is reading. And then I text you immediately because I hit that scene.
I was waiting for this text.
And he's like, my dad gave me this. I'm thinking, are they trying to Pulp Fiction this with the watch speech? And the speech goes nowhere. It got bad. It starts off and then it just kind of goes nowhere. And he puts the watch in a can and whoever comes back alive gets the gifts. I have no idea what's happening. But they tried to use Bruce Willis and steal the watch scene from Pulp Fiction as if his lady friend had been changed into a squadron of Chinese airmen. That was literally what they were trying to do. And even maybe lost in translation, but it's not even close. I could have asked Bruce, hey, how do we make this like your scene? I mean, he knows how to do it. They just we'll finger fuck this thing together.
Well, like I say, I'm watching the movie. I'm aware at this point that you're watching it at the same time. I'm thinking, any minute now, I'm going to get a text. I know what's coming. I'm like, if there's one thing I know about you, I know what your favorite movie of all time is.
Well, and not just that, but it was blatant. If it had been one of the Asian guys, I wouldn't have thought it, but it's fucking Bruce Willis doing it. They didn't even try to skip it.
I thought, any minute now, I'm going to get this text. I'm not going to know what to say. I'm not going to know what to say.
Oh, it's such a bad scene, though, that if you're not paying attention, you go, I don't know if they're even trying. It was that bad. You're like, I don't think they're trying at this point. They even make this close.
Listen, with a lot of the Bruce Willis movies we've watched so far, look, there's been peaks and troughs. There's been ups and downs, okay? But this movie, to me anyway, some of these movies just haven't worked for me or you. But this film is truly inept.
Yes. And yet,
I think
it's a joyous, fun romp through just to go, what the fuck? It's one of those, it's a car crash. It's a car crash.
No, I was then going to say, yeah, but you're describing watching a car accident, a bad one as well.
It's hard to even in a podcast explain what you just watched. Because as I said, we said to each other, I was like, you're like, this may be the worst movie. I said, I don't know. I still think it's better than, what was that? Extraction. And the reason I say that is, it's a shit movie. But it's blowing shit up left and right. It is attempting where it's some of these movies we watch they barely even farted. They're just
But at least in Extraction, there's some eye candy. Do you know what I mean? There's some ladies.
I thought the 2 ladies were pretty trash. But look, we didn't get any of the extra stuff.
Yeah, I know.
Literally, it was a bombing run. It was formulaic. Bombing run. Let's go back and find out what's going on with the Mahjong tournament and find out how far Peking Jones has gotten. And that was it. So we go from Peking Jones back to Bruce and the Bombers, back to the Mahjong tournament, to Peking Jones. And it just was that formula the whole way through. And then I'll save it for my best performance. You're going to fucking love it. Anywho.
I don't know where you're going.
Oh, you will. So yeah, overall, this is up there with The Room. This is up there with Nick Cage's Deadfall. This is up there with those films that if you love watching shitty movies for the humor and ridiculousness in them, and you don't get upset that you're wasting time, this is a movie to check out just so you can be just blown away by the stuff that's happening. This would make a great Mystery Theater 2000 fucking episode. It would be fantastic because the things that happen in this are absolutely crazy. And it's 2018. We're not talking early days of cinema. No. We're talking, this is got the full backing of the Chinese government, because this is definitely being made as a propaganda film towards how the Japanese were horrible to the China, which clearly they were. They bombed them for 6 years and 10 months. No doubt about that. But this was a propaganda film the entire time, because they did the old-fashioned waving the Chinese flag, and then he gets hit by the bullet and he falls slowly off the...
no diggity. Yeah. Oh, man.
How many pilots do we have left?
15 left, sir.
How many planes?
13 I-16s, 1 I-15, 2 in repair. We're recruiting as we speak, sir.
We are soldiers, Colonel. Protecting our country in war is our job.
I know how you feel. You have to be rational. Can't just send these kids up there to get shot down. I need you two, both of you.
If we don't take action, the Japanese will continue to bomb Chongqing. How could we face our people?
We need more planes. And we need to get those kids out there trained. Nobody flies today.
Sir? Please allow us to go kick some ass.
All right, well, let's move into our final thoughts here.
Favorite scene.
Mr. fucking Smith. Favorite scene from 2018's Chinese war film drama, Airstrike, Unbreakable, what was it? Unbreakable something, and the bombing.
Unbreakable Spirit.
Unbreakable Spirit and the bombing. What is your favorite scene?
Oh, man. Okay. There's actually 2. There may even be 3.
I had 3 originally.
So I might need your help a bit later on, because I've written one word as a description, and I can't remember what it means. All right. But anyway, before we go any further then, can you help me with this, right? Because I'm looking at my notes, and I've just written, it just says cliffhanger. Do you know what that means? Is there a clip?
Is it the truck gets here towards the edge? That's the scene I'm talking about with the truck. They get shot and it stops right by the edge, and they look over the ravine.
I think I just gave up. I just gave up and didn't write the rest. It just says cliffhanger, and I'm like, what?
Officer, sir, I'm a mechanic and a good driver.
That was the bit. Yeah. Sorry. Okay, so let's get back to where we should have been. My favorite scene. I've got 3, because you're going to definitely have one of them. I'm going to go with my first one. My first initial. It's just a bit where a guy yells up to the Japanese, they're in the sky bombing everyone. He yells, "Come on, you fascist clowns!" while he's waving a piglet at him.
Brilliant. That's what I'm talking about with this film. It's a conundrum. It's fucking dog shit. But at the same time, you're just like, I don't know what was going on, but this part of you goes, there's something glorious about it too. It's like an apocalypse now thing. Like, it was the further you get into the jungle,
the more
you get fucking sucked in. You're like, what's happening?
Yeah, there's a guy waving a piglet in the sky, yelling, "Come on, you fascist clowns!" at the Japanese. That's my favorite scene.
Mine, I've already mentioned. You probably already knew it, but Bruce Willis firing a pistol a la Tom Hanks, Saving Ryan at the plate. I was like, the other one was, even though it's just a moment, it was like he had the cigar and he's just flying with the cockpit open. I had like visions of Kubrick's fucking
this is Dr. Strangelove.
Dr. Strangelove. Bruce Willis is playing the cowboy who rides the bomb down. That's who I felt like he was playing the entire time. It's just this wild, unhinged kind of, also combination of speaking of Apocalypse Now, of Robert Duvall's character.
Yes, it's an amalgamation of all these things.
All the super American macho men you could think of, that they would think of as, being these G.I. Joe types. And he was like, fuck it, I'm tapping in all of them.
I totally understand. I knew if I didn't pick it, you would. I knew.
Oh, it was one of the best.
That elevated proceedings, definitely.
It did. Like, there's something about how this was a shitty movie, but they fucking went with some things. And I was just like, you know what? You don't know about air and flow, but other than that and water being spit in a space, but this is kind of fun.
Yeah, definitely.
Best one-liner.
Best one-liner or monologue from Top Gun Z.
This calls back to your favorite scene. As Bruce Willis, as Captain Jack, I guess.
Jack Johnson.
Is firing his pistol at an aeroplane 20,000 feet up in the air. He yells, "What bastard is flying that plane? That is fucked up." They are his words. And I actually I say rewinded, but you know what I'm saying. I watched that about 4 times.
It's like we don't roll down the window anymore.
You know what I mean?
Press a button, but we still go roll down your window.
I rewound.
Put the window down, mate.
I rewound 4 times to watch that bit. Because that was a classic moment.
I'm telling you, there's some choice moments.
Well, you know the scene in on the waterfront where Terry Malloy says, "I could have been somebody." You know, this should be This is iconic, I believe. In future generations,
this is up there with Yippee Ki-Yay.
generations, you know, will cite this as historically important to cinema. There's Terry Malloy's monologue on the waterfront.
Mine's not as powerful as yours, apparently. Mine comes from two Chinese people. That comes from Peking Jones and Mrs. I Got a Hunch. He says to her, "You're worse than gunpowder. You always explode." She goes, "Then don't provoke me." I was like, "Oh, we got a good line of dialogue in here." I almost paused and looked around at everybody like we're all on the same page. I think they had a little quip. Yeah, there was some stuff in there. He's like, "What is fucking happening?" But there you go.
Best performance.
Now, sir, your best performance in this, as I've called it also, Top Gun Z, because I do feel it's like Dragon Ball Z meets Top Gun. It was just really bad dubbing, a lot of yelling, just crazy shit happening.
Okay, well, my favorite performance, Bruce Willis. I mean,
yeah, I do have a side note. I have a runner-ups actually. I did have Bruce, and then my runner-ups are the two English pigs, because they were the only other believable fucking people in this film with these two poor little English pigs running around.
Yeah, so for me, I mean, he's going all out on this. He's thinking no one is ever going to watch this, so I might as well have some fun.
No one's going to start a podcast and talk about this. He's like, you know what? I have aphasia. I'm going to forget this anyways. I don't have to worry about this. I'll eventually completely forget this.
So for me, yeah, best performance is...
He is chewing up the scenery in the best way possible. And I truly do mean that. He's doing his best in Nicolas Cage. We're like, this movie may be garbage, but the best part of it. And he's on screen quite a lot. Like, you know, he almost is starring in this. Like I said, there's a 3-act structure.
He's the lead, isn't he?
Bruce Willis and the fighter pilots. He runs that section. Then they got Peking Jones, who's doing the drug section. And then we've got Uncle Chewie and the Mahjong tournament. And that's the other section. Bruce has got command of the war section. And it's fun. Swears, yells for no reason, smoking cigars in open cockpit planes, shooting the fucking planes coming at him on a fucking Humvee or a Jeep. And then those two English pigs who are just like, there's no PETA in China. There's stuff that they're running around like almost dropping these poor pigs. I was just like, these poor pigs have no idea what's going on. And they were spectacular. So my hat's off to the English pigs, as you were great co-stars next to Mr. Bruce Willis.
Favorite character.
And lastly, favorite character from Airstrike.
Well, you know, I'm sorry to be predictable. Captain Jack.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, he's just fun. Some of these other guys disappear and then die quickly, and then you forget who they are, why they're relevant and important at all. Like the two Chinese airmen who are fighting over who gets to fly the American plane. And like some of that stuff, they just like, I don't know why we're arguing. And then even Peking Jones, it takes him so long to go somewhere, and all they do is just drive a truck and pick up homeless children. Like, not a lot happens, although there was a cool bombing in the fucking church where those kids get obliterated. I did write that down. I was like, my other note was like, besides the explosions, I was like, they kill kids willy-nilly style in this film. And they don't even hesitate. Like, they, you know, they'll show them, like, they show a near miss and you go, oh, and then also the next thing's like, nope, they're dead. A couple of times they're like, oh, it was a near miss. Nope, these kids are still fucking dead. So my hat's off to the Chinese for having, when you have 1 billion people in your population, what's 2 or 3 more kids to disappear? What do we care? Exactly, you know, fuck them. Fuck the kids over there, right? Yeah, for me too, it's Colonel Jack Johnson. He's got a watch that his dad got from a war in World War I. He's flying planes with cigars. He's shooting at airplanes. He don't give a fuck, all right? You pieces of shit. I'm not going to send you up there to die. And then they say, please, sir, let us go up there and kick ass. And he says, all right, go ahead. And what happens? They fucking die. They don't listen, these kids. It's one. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think that this is a front runner for best performance for him for next year's Brucey's. For the end of the season's Brucey's. I'm gonna be honest with you. I haven't seen him have this much fun since he played the nut hugger, peanut lover from Catch 44. Well, maybe also from Once Upon a Time in Venice. He was chewing up the scenery in this absolutely ridiculous film. But now it's time for us to find out what we decide. It's time for us to close in on our decisions of Bruce's and Deuces.
The moment of truth.
We start with Mr. Willis and his acting performance. Do we think that he dropped a deuce or a Bruce? I'm pretty sure he did this for the money. However, did he earn it or did he just cash the check? Mr. Smith, what do you think?
Well, this is potentially, admittedly, a so bad as good performance. Yeah, I mean, we've got to accept.
I know exactly what you mean.
That.
Yeah.
But Bruce Willis is good enough reason to watch this movie. Yeah,
100%.
It's worth watching just for Bruce.
100% agree with you.
No diggity doubt. No diggity. He's dropping a Bruce.
He most definitely dropped a Bruce.
100%. And again, we're 14 in, so I want to preface all the things we say. We are on a different journey than you just showing up, having watched Die Hard 2, and you go, let's try Airstrike. Listen, we are in no delusion that these are going to be in Bruce Willis's, when he's finally said and done, he's under the ground, and you look back, it's not going to be in one of his fucking greatest performances. However, much like the actor Nicolas Cage, who was in a lot of direct-to-video to help out with his IRS tax problem for years. And I did a journey on that for a little bit, and other friends can tell you, he may be in a shit movie, but he was always the best. Like, he was always performing. He knows he was in a garbage movie, but he figured, you know what? I'm going to give you the best I got. If you're going to watch this thing, you're going to get the best of me. I can't promise the other cocksuckers in here doing anything, but I'm going to. And that's why he sometimes sticks out like a sore thumb, because everyone else is just sleepwalking through the thing, and he's like fucking going crazy, doing characters, living in the moment. And that's what Mr. Willis does in this film, is he takes all the great army commanders he could be and realizes, I don't got to worry about an American audience judging me against him. He's like, I'm going to do Robert Duvall on this scene. I'm going to be Colonel Kurtz in this scene. I'm going to do this guy. I'm Patton over here. You know what I mean? I'm going to do whatever I want right now.
That's right.
And boom. And he fucking loved it. And it is the reason to watch this film, also for the craziness of it. But it knew me, I was like, you know what? I don't think Steve's going to disagree with me on this one. I think we're both going to be like, he was fun. Like, he was a fun moment. The only reason it made the 90 minutes even go by.
Yeah.
He most definitely dropped a Bruce.
So I think we also know the end results here. But Mr. Smith, Bruce Deuce for Airstrike.
This film is a massive. This is the deuciest of deuces. This is just a completely inept piece of shit, this film.
And it's $65 million too.
Unbelievable.
This film most definitely dropped a deuce.
I mean, they blow up a lot of stuff. This is why I told you I don't think it's the worst film we've ever seen, because for $65 million, yeah, it's a pile of dog shit. But they are blowing up things left and fucking right. Like, they spared no expense on that stuff.
Yes.
And it's not CGI explosion either. They are blowing things.
Well, you've got both, to be fair, but
no, true. But you know what I mean? Like, they're doing the ground assault is just blowing up sets left and right. There's explosions all over the place. So in that respect, I just kept thinking maybe there was a Chinese guy on the side, and he was like the character from Tropic Thunder, and he's like, big ass titties and just exploding things left and right. It's always always Danny, what's his face, sitting on the side, just going big ass titties, just blowing shit up left and fucking right.
So for me, yeah, this is a big stinky deuce.
Yes, I would agree with you. However, I do think it will fall in the pantheon of absolute bomb of a film, that there is a watchability to it when you understand the movie you're now getting. Like, when you watch The Room, you watch The Room for the ridiculousness of the plot and the overacting by its stars. Same thing with Nicolas Cage's Deadfall. An absolute bizarre, over-the-top film that is garbage. But there's enjoyable moments that make it fun in it, that you'd watch it at least once.
I think if you want to get one over on one of your friends, you could tell them to watch this. So, you know what? Hey, if you like your war movies, I'll tell you, there's a bit of a hidden gem, a Bruce Willis one, and they'll pick up the.
How about this? A drinking game. How many explosions? You won't make it to 20 minutes in the film before you're drunk out of your mind. You won't make it to the 20-minute mark without being fully plastered if you drink every time there's an explosion.
True.
You are fucking done. It's just left, right, center explosions everywhere. It's all that stuff that happens that keeps you at least making it through. But if you feel like the truck, it feels like it takes forever for that truck to reach its destination. And another drinking game is, or just even a fun game you could bet. You could see who comes the closest to figuring out what the fuck the film is about. If you can figure out, I still go with, it's a Mahjong tournament that was interrupted.
I mean, it's insane. It's pretty insane to think that this movie is supposed to be taking place over 5 years.
Well, that's as long as Mahjong tournament do.
This is true.
This film was definitely dropped a deuce.
So there you have it. Airstrike. You see it because it's comedic but not intentionally. You can have fun with it if you know what you're going in with, which hopefully, and I think this has maybe loosened us up too. But when you start to watch films like this, you start to realize, each film has a purpose. It's not Citizen Kane. It's not trying to win an Oscar. Maybe you thought so in China, but when you go into sometimes with that and you look at it with those eyes, you can enjoy a film based on what it is going into the film. All right, like, look, if they trumpet the thing as it's going to be an Oscar contender and it fucking shits the bed, then obviously take a dump on it. But when you know it's a B movie, don't be surprised if it ends up being a fucking B movie. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, it's not trying to put a wool over your eyes, but, none of these films we've watched are going to be considered in his greatest, but there are some fun to them. And unless you're taking the journey we are, if you just watch Airstrike out of context with not seeing anything else, you may not enjoy it like we somewhat enjoyed it, even though we also hated it at the same time.
You have been warned, but at the same time, curiosity
you now know what you're getting.
Gets the better of us. So it is worth a look.
And that will do it for our 14th episode. Please feel free to reach out to us on the show's socials, which can be found in the show notes, and tell us what you thought about this film, how you feel about Bruce as an actor, or even to let us know what you think about our show. We'd also greatly appreciate it if you give the show a like, leave us a review, and follow the show on the Last of the Action Heroes Podcast Network, where you can find other amazing podcasts dedicated to such iconic action stars as Stallone, Lundgren, Van Damme, Schwarzenegger, and Seagal. The link to the network can also be found in our show's notes. So won't you please join us again next month as Steve and I pull our Willis Winnebago over to review Bruce's role in 2019's crime thriller, 10 Minutes Gone, to see if he dropped a deuce or if he dropped a Bruce. Until then.
Yippee Ki-Yay Motherfucker.
This has been a Man with an Exceptional Beard production.